I've been a gamer for a long time. I'm talking a real long time. Longer than YouTube's been a thing. Longer than gaming has been even remotely popular or accepted as a hobby. My first gaming memory was on an Atari 8600 playing things like Pong and Pac-Man and Adventure. And that was how 6-year-old Legundo or 5-year-old Legundo, I couldn't even tell you when, because it was back before my parents got divorced, when we still lived in this both half of a double house where we had the Atari connected to an old TV that had a vinyl textured screen, the kind would do the little if you ran your fingers across it. That was the best way to spend a Saturday morning. Screw cartoons, screw Power Rangers. I would play those games for hours on end, learn the patterns, write down maps, and make my own little strategy guides. Fast forward a couple years, and the first game I remember beating, outright just beating, is Pokemon Blue. I played the crap out of that as well, and again, sort of made my own strategy guides. I bought the books as well, but I really just sort of found my way through that story all of my own. And there was the myths and the legends about the game, about how if you beat it, you could talk to your mom and then get a thing which would move the truck by the SS Annie, but only if you never got the HM for Surf to get Mew and all this other magical things. And then real secrets like Missing No, which were unlocked by doing a certain bit of glitching to be able to fight against a literal bug in the program to duplicate items and then make the game a hell of a lot easier. That was playing the game, but I'm talking 100%ing, beating the game, and for that was capturing all 150 original Pokemon. And I did that by playing with friends, duplicating Pokemon using the old cable pull trick. That was the first game that little Legundo beat, and 100% I made that mine back in the day. Quite a few years after that, after playing subsequent Pokemon and then never finding the urge or the desire to 100% them again, I got super obsessed with Kingdom Hearts 2. And that was the second game that I can remember 100%ing. And I'm talking getting home from school and spending hours just playing through certain little mini games or missions or challenges to get just a 1/10 of a second better on a time to edge my way towards this ultimately meaningless but challenge I had set out for myself. The worst part of that by far was this poster removal minigame where you had to fly through Twilight Town and rip down 10 posters. You had to do it in under 9 seconds, I think, to unlock the gold medal for that challenge. I played at that for weeks and I was like 9.25 over and over and over. When I finally did that, that was it. That was the last 1% to complete that game. I ticked from 99 to 100. I didn't even have a camera phone to take a picture. There was no Twitter to share that with anyone. That achievement was for me and me alone. I tried to explain it to my family and they're like, "Oh, you're done with that thing? Finally, maybe you can move on to something else and stop hogging the TV so much." They thought I was manic, but I was super proud of myself and that little accomplishment and that little achievement of my own design. By this time, the internet was totally a thing, and I was on it in my own little company, in finger quotes, that I called Legend Zero. This was my first attempt at a gaming website and my first attempt at doing YouTube or content creation. It wasn't about games back then. I was trying my own thing. I was writing like fan fictions and my own original stories and things like that. I was not at all thinking about video or gaming news. I was just enjoying video games separately from what I was doing with my online activities. But back then, games just felt, how to put it, more complete. Obviously, everybody talks about DLCs nowadays and loves to make fun of the "we fix it in post" kind of attitude that is ever present with these living world titles that everybody seems to want to immerse us in. And I'm going to do another video on that in a couple weeks, or maybe a couple days, depends on how well this kind of essay thing is received. But I remember those initial highs, those initial get home and grind on one game over and over and over, not for any sort of gear, not for any sort of reward that was intrinsic to the gameplay loop of the game. I wasn't grinding because the game told me to. I was grinding because I wanted to accomplish something in the confines of that world. That was my original gaming high. The one thing, the best moment that I'll never get back. And no matter how much I play games again, it'll never be just as good as that first catharsis of 100%ing Pokemon Blue or 100%ing Kingdom Hearts 2. I've seen the rise and falls of DLCs for games, back when it was new campaign missions or new areas to explore, and it felt like something that was legitimately built after the game was complete, not just ripped out for extra revenue. I remember when things like microtransactions were laughed at. Horse armor in Oblivion is the first microtransaction I can really think of. Before the term even existed, it was just a really cheap, really small, entirely cosmetic DLC, and everybody spent weeks bashing it. Who would ever buy this? And look at Fortnite now. In 10 years of doing YouTube and almost double that or more of playing video games, I've seen the rise and fall, the ebb and flow of multiple different things throughout the gaming world and the gaming industry. But the thing that I miss the most, the one thing I'm super nostalgic for, is no game mechanic. It's not the presence or lack of sprint. It's not the art style or the way any one specific game looks or feels. I don't miss any one particular story per se, or how a character was portrayed. Instead, I kind of miss the mystery of games themselves. I miss the fact and the days where it wasn't just bang your head against a problem for a while, give up, go to Google and get 32 different walkthrough videos of other people who've played the game and decided it would be good to put on YouTube. And I'm not bashing that at all. That is an amazing thing, that there are so many more people who are now passionate about the things that I'm passionate about, and I can share a shared experience and a moment and a common enjoyment with them without having to be geographically in the same place. In my high school, there were maybe 2 other people who played video games regularly, and they only played sports games, not shooters, not Halo, not the RPGs I played back in the day. So we had nothing in common. I had no one to share my gaming with. Now, I could find friends literally around the planet who enjoy the same things that I enjoy. Friendship and community, they aren't defined by your zip code anymore. They're defined by the experiences that you have and the things that you're passionate about. No matter how eclectic, you can probably find at least one website about your favorite game or your favorite activity to do in games, and there will be most likely at least one other person who shares those desires. And I miss that. I miss when there was hundreds, if not thousands, of gaming websites that were all active and prolific. I miss when there was only 15 or 20 that were dedicated to Halo and different aspects of it. Now it seems like everything's consolidated down to Twitter and Facebook and Reddit and Discord servers. And even then, even though there's separate servers, you just click from one to the next inside the same app. It doesn't have that same personality, that same sense of community or separation that used to be there back in the day. In 10 years, I've gone through a ton of games. I played through all of the Pokemons up till Sun and Moon. I think I've beat every single one. I played through most of the old school Marios, every Zelda, every Kingdom Hearts on a console that I've actually owned. They bounce around far too much. I've done everything from Halo Machinima series that were featured on the front page of Bungie.net to a Minecraft server that basically recreated Halo and Warzone 6 months before Halo 5 was actually ever even released, and I just did it based off of a couple trailers. We had Smash Run from the Smash 4 3DS game. There was so much we did, but it just never took off. That's a bit of a regret I've had throughout the years. Maybe I'll go give that a shot now that blockchain's actually released, and I'll go do some coding for that again. But lately I've found myself chasing that high again, trying just one more hit and one more different thing. And just how can I replicate that idea and that experience of playing games before the internet had every answer to every question I could possibly go out there and search for. And part of it is my own discipline. I need to make sure that I keep myself away from Google, that every answer could possibly be provided to me. I did that recently with Breath of the Wild, and I'd show footage from that game, but Nintendo are awful and hate YouTube, so I can't really talk about that too much. But the latest one I've been jumping into a lot is Hitman, and I've been playing through all of the different missions and areas and content, and I haven't looked up anything yet. I know one day I'll fall suspect and Google something because I want to get a really random challenge. But having to figure this out all by myself has been something that has brought back some sort and some degree of that high. Not as strong, not as potent, it'll never be as great as my first, but it is something that I've been enjoying, trying to get closer to 100%ing that game. And it's actually rare. This is one of the few games I can think of that I can play right now that you can 100% in the truest sense of the word. There is some finite number of ways you can assassinate these players and these enemy NPCs in this game. But the gaming world has turned away from that. It's moved to shared worlds and always online experiences and playing with other people instead of playing against the AI. You can't 100% Fortnite or Sea of Thieves. You can reach milestones that have been set there for you by the developers of the game. You can complete your battle pass or reach Pirate Legend. There's always something they're going to want to try to pull you back in for. And shared world, living world games are a great new experience and something that would not have been technologically or socially possible 5 or 6 years ago. And while I love those games for what they are, I also do miss the time where you bought a game and everything was on the disc and it was there from day one, and it was just up to you to unlock it and figure it out by yourself, because there wasn't that book of answers hiding on the internet. Sure, you could buy the strategy guide for $15, but nobody bought the strategy guide. Who would ever buy this? I did. I did many times. And I kept a few of them in the plastic to keep myself from spoiling the game on myself, but I totally bought those things a lot. But the grind of modern games for better gear or better stats or to raise your reputation with one faction or another just feels short and feels like a false equivalency to the original grind of just doing it for the sake of doing it, whether you had someone to share it with or not. I know it's weird. Legundo's doing a nostalgia video after making fun of nostalgia many times in the past, but this isn't nostalgia as an excuse to say something should change. I'm just literally nostalgic for the sake of being nostalgic. I'm not trying to say that shared world games should go away. I'm not trying to say that everything we have with the internet should go away. Oh God, please don't turn the internet off. It's mostly kind of good. Granted, it's enabled a lot of bad things, but it's mostly a net positive on the world. I would never want to take that away. But if you can't tell, I've been a little burned out on YouTube and on gaming even in general the past couple weeks. And going through and finding something where I could attempt to recreate that original high of gaming, that original challenge of 100%ing something, mainly and purposely for my own edification, has been a bit of a hard reset, and I've appreciated the opportunity, and I'm glad I afforded myself a little bit of time, even if it means the channel's suffered the past few weeks. And I wanted to put this out there because I wanted to see if I was alone on this idea. If anybody's been gaming for quite a while and also watches the channel, and my demographics say that some of you have, at least I hope. If not, a lot of you have lied to Google about how old you actually are, and they probably know that already. But I want to see if anybody else is nostalgic for the older gaming times, the times before infinite strategy guides and a condensed monolithic sort of community around gaming. Do you remember the times when it was 84 or more different random gaming forums all dedicated to a single title or more? Or do you remember even before that, when there was no internet, no gaming community, no gaming culture, no online live streaming, or hell, no online video? And do you remember what games were like back then? And do you sometimes wish that you could replicate that experience in 2018. Or hell, if you're watching this video sometime in the massive future, do you remember when it was just Fortnite and Minecraft and all the other stuff? And how awesome were those days, am I right? I'd love to know your thoughts on all that. I wanted to do a bit of a longer video essay of sorts. I think that's what everybody's calling these longer commentaries nowadays, on the topic of chasing that original high, chasing that original, oh my god, I can't believe I finished this game 100%, and how it's been a challenge in today's gaming world, and how different the landscape is now compared to when it was 25 years ago. That's just my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours in those comments down below. Let me know what you think about this kind of video. If you want to see me do more stuff like this, as always, go out there, be good to each other, and I'll talk to you next time. What's up, everybody? I hope you enjoyed this longer video essay sort of thing for me. After the stuff I did last week with the Halo news and the conversation with Epos, I figured, why don't I give this a shot instead of just doing shorter videos, do something a little bit more. Hope you like it. Let me know what you think in those comments down below, and I'll talk to you next time.